So I have to say, to give you a little insight on the sermon prep, I have to have scripture. We have to know who the liturgist is, what songs Joyce and Judy will be having for us, and then my sermon title, preferably by Tuesday of that week. So last Tuesday, I needed to give my sermon title for today. I will tell you, if you ever see how do I have it worded, only the Holy Spirit knows, that means I have no idea yet. So if you see that again, that's what that means, because I have no idea what camp is going to hold for us. Is that me correct? Yeah. Maybe I'm getting too excited here. So that is what that means. So I just wanted to let you know that I have no looks like I might be running out of batteries before too long. But I might take up the mic off and then just come down and stand with you all. I think you'll be able to hear me. Because this is going to be a sermon that I think I want to walk around a bit for. I don't even know if I would call it a sermon actually, because we're going to have a couple of people. We're going to have a person talk about camp, and I'm going to read a note from a camper. Just so you know, those that went to camp was Isaiah, Addie, and Lily. If you've seen pictures of Lily on the horses at camp, it looks like she had a ball. So what I'm going to do first is, Isaiah, if you would want to come up, and then I will, Addie gave me a note that she wants to have read, but I'm not to open it until I read it. So if you want to use that.
Hello, good morning. Good morning. Can everybody hear me? Okay. Yeah, my week camp was pretty fun. I went there trying to look for some sort of, direction on where to go. Like, after high school, I'm going to my senior year this year, and I don't really know what to do, because they took away a program that I was going to do, so I don't know what to do. And, it really showed me that, if everybody comes together with God and stuff like that, everything will turn out the way it's supposed to be. You don't really have to go looking for yourself. Everybody will help you. And, yeah. Sorry, I don't know how to talk in front of people. Then we kind of taught me that, you can't really go through everything yourself. You have to let people help you sometimes. That whenever you feel wrong, you're not really wrong. God is there. He will always be there. And I don't know if, he's here or there or anywhere, but he's somewhere. That's about it.
All right. See what Addie had to say. Good one, Addie. She wrote down 5 things that I'm assuming that you're grateful met Carl. If you don't know Carl, if you've never heard Carl talked about, he is like 84, and he's been going to camp for 18 years, is that right? 18 years to be with these kids. And he's awesome, and he has all kinds of energy. He gets up there and he dances with the kids. He puts on tattoos on his forehead to have fun with the kids, and he just loves them so much. And each year you can tell that the impact that he has on kids, because they're the ones that kind of, well, hug him for a long time. When we were saying goodbye, I saw him hug a camper, and I don't think either one of them wanted to let go. The second thing Addie was, that she was grateful for doing here is meeting new people. Don't let her fool you. She is a people person. She had fun. She was all over the place. She did the big swing. And to see her do that was one of the things that fulfilled my week, was being able to see her be so open to everything. It was awesome. She did new activities, which we did a lot of activities that past week. She got closer to God, which is huge because that's why we're there. And she felt free. So I think those are 5 pretty darn good things to bring home from camp. So I appreciate you sharing this with us, Eddie. So for me, camp this year was a reflection, because the last year that we went, I didn't know that would be the last year for 2 years. I didn't appreciate it. So this year I went into it focused on trying to soak everything in. And this is totally not what I had in mind for the sermon. But I will tell you that what I got from my camp experiences, and the title for the camp was Be in the Here and Now. And that's exactly what I learned. I watched the kids have fun. I watched the kids worship. I watched kids give up intimate things during devotions. And I wanted to stay in the background because I wanted to feel all that because it's been so long. And I know all of you can relate. All of you can relate to how much COVID changed, and you see pictures on Facebook and on YouTube of offices that were left as is when they went home to shelter in place. For nobody to be back for 2 years, and you look at the desk and it looks like somebody's still working there. I don't think we knew how to appreciate as much as we do now. I appreciate hugs. I appreciate not wearing a mask. I appreciate shaking a hand more. And with these kids, I appreciate being able to put my hand on them and pray. There's a lot of things that we learned at camp. And that's my story as far as the here and now. Appreciating every day. When you get up, you're alive. What are you going to do for God? You go to bed, you say your prayers. What are you going to do for God the next day? You see, besides appreciating, the speaker in the camp took us through the process. We had a commitment night, and a recommitment night. And then throughout the week, they focused on two things that I think you guys heard me talk about before. One, what is your plan? They asked kids to write down what their plan is, because Friday when you go home, you get back into that world, and you're dealing with peer pressure, family issues. You have to go back to work. You're trying to balance work and school and a boyfriend or girlfriend, and you get right back into the groove of thing, and you totally forget about camp. What are you going to do to keep that from happening? They had the kids write down, I, so-and-so, will do this at this time every day as a start to what they were going to do when they got home. It's an awesome idea, but we all know how that works. I hate to be that person who says that, but we're going to get home, we're going to put that piece of paper on our dresser, and we're going to go back to our normal life, just like we prayed all week that we didn't do that. The second thing was, what are you going to do to affect your community? Now that you believe, now that you've been recommitted, now that your fire is burning again, what are you going to do back home to make a difference? There was one exercise where they brought out a easel with a big white tablet on it with a drawing of the world. And they asked the kids to go up with a marker and put a mark where they want to have the biggest effect at. Where do you want to have a mission at? So all these kids went up and they put dots all over the world. And again, we know how that works. We put the dot, we come home, we get back into the groove again, and we forget about that dot. I can remember of one story, and I don't mean this to be a negative thing. This is a reality check, because at the end I want to address you in the pews that are here every Sunday. But I remember, I can remember one story where somebody who actually committed to a mission came back the next year and actually showed us what the results were of that mission. She pledged to try to get wells overseas where they didn't have water, to donate money and do a fundraiser to get wells put where they need to be put. I don't remember the amount, but I know that she had one already placed and she was working on a second one. So here's what I said to the boys group when we wrote down what we were going to do to change, what we were going to do to change our life when we got back here. And I've made this challenge before, and I'm wiser now. But I told them, when you get back home, if you have something that you want to do in the community, you're not only the one accountable for it. You go to your church, you go to your pastor, you go to your youth director, and you say, I want to do this. And you hold them accountable for doing it and helping. Not doing it, but helping. See, a lot of times, when we get back, I can think of many, many times where we had a group meeting and we sat down and we talked about what we wanted to do when we got back home. Nobody was accountable. That's why I tell all of you in the congregation, if you have an idea, I want to know about it. Because if there's a way for me to help get it done, I will help you get it done. And that is the same commitment that I would have with these kids, is if they said, Bill, I want to participate in a soup kitchen once a month. Let's do it. I'll get the contact, you keep that date open, and we'll go do it. But like we heard at camp, you're responsible for your actions as well. So if you get to the point where you say, I want to do this, and you don't, that's kind of what I preach all the time is we have to be a team, we have to be a family. Nobody should be pulling all the weight themselves. So, if you say you want to do this, you say you want to do this, you have an idea, you have to be committed to it. You have to be committed to the time and to the setup, and to the cause, and to getting a hold of people. So all through the week at camp, we learned this. We learned that it's on us with God's help and other people's help. We are responsible for keeping our relationship close with God. We're responsible for how we grow in God. And if you make a commitment to a missional idea, you are responsible to keep that end of the bargain up. So, camp meant a whole lot to everyone that was there. We had a really small week. We had about 70 kids there. And I really hope and pray that all of them went home with the energy and the willingness to carry their weight as a disciple, because that's what you guys are. You guys are disciples of Christ, just like all of us. So I hope that when all the kids went home, that they went home with the fire to try to get something going when they got back home, even if it's just a daily devotion. So, I had a lot of fun. I saw a lot of kids grow. But I went appreciating what we had. I went appreciating the fact that we have a chance to go to camp to worship God, to be able to recommit ourselves to Christ, or commit ourselves to Christ. I appreciate the fact that the speakers and the staff made a program to where it made us focus on not just ourselves, but the world. These are things I sat back and let soak in. Because I wanted, each time I come home from camp, I want to bring home the same fire that we had when we were there. And it's hard. And I can tell you, for our breed, if you've seen pictures of Lily on the horses, she had a blast, right? And if you've seen pictures of Isaiah and Addie worshiping or playing Gaga ball, don't ask me to explain Gaga ball, it's too complicated. But they had fun. But they had fun while they were learning about Christ. So my challenge to you today, I feel like I'm talking too much. But my challenge to you today is to be there for them. To be there, to lift them up, to check on them, to say, how are you doing? Because they're going to need that. They're going to need every bit of help, because we all know what the real world is like. They have an idea as well. But we need to be able to say, it's going to be okay. Life is rough right now, but remember camp. Our life is based on Christ, our faith. Remember what it was like. Reflect, sit, think about God. Think about how you've changed in your life. Think about how you appreciate the person you're with. Think about how you appreciate having a job. Just take the time to reflect and make sure